now tuned in to the Cold Hard Truth, Cayman's #1 hard-hitting live podcast show, where we feature some straightforward conversations on political, social, and celebrity news and all things happening in the Cayman Islands and around the world. This show was created to give the people a voice and a means of being involved and informed without any filters. Sometimes it gets crazy, but we always keep it real. We bring you the tea, piping hot, so grab your favorite beverage and join the conversation via WhatsApp at 324-1612. Email tips at CaymanMarlRoad.com. Now, here's your host, Sandy Hill, broadcasting live from the beautiful Cayman Islands. Miracle Brokers is back. That's right. We're fully reopened and back to work. Our agents are here to serve you with all of your packing and shipping needs. Need to move? Don't worry. Give us a call today. Collect a package, shipping around the world, or straight to Cayman? You got it. Give us a call on 949-5989. Collection by personalized appointment only, where our dedicated agents are on standby to personally assist you. Don't forget to wear your mask, maintain social distancing, and one person per appointment. Check us out at miraclebrokers.com today.
All right, good evening, folks, and welcome to another edition of the Cold Hard Truth. Thank you guys so much for tuning in this evening. We have got a lot of ground to cover. First of all, I feel like we have stepped back in time with some information as it relates to COVID. So we're going to talk about that here in a little bit. Suffice it to say, we are in desperate times. And in desperate times, people will do anything for your attention, and people will believe anything. Breaking news right here. You're hearing it first on Cayman Mall Road, of course, as is always the case. There is a sinkhole that has opened up in South Sound. Literally, the ground has opened up, and this has people concerned. So the RCIPS is on the scene at the moment. I'm going to show you guys the first available footage of this sinkhole. Hold on, folks. There it is. Wow. Not impossible, obviously, it happens. Most of the times it's when the earth is shaken, like an earthquake or something like that. But sinkholes can open up at any time. We've had them open up before. I lived in Florida, and occasionally we'd get, sometimes very shockingly, massive earthquakes. Massive sinkholes that just open up and they will swallow anything around them. So for the moment, the RCIPS is on location, and I dare say that they're going to be monitoring this. So as soon as we know additional information, we will certainly inform you and let you know as well. So we just received this before coming on air. Word is that a sinkhole has opened up in let me just have a look here, in South Sound. And, what else can you do right now except to monitor that situation? So we'll see. Stay tuned. We'll get additional alerts. I would say that if you don't have to travel through South Sound, by all means, stay away from the area so that the authorities can do their job. All right, so that's what we know as of now. We are waiting on additional information about that sinkhole situation, but the earth has opened up, folks. Some people will see this as prophetic, no doubt, and have all sorts of comments about it, but it happens. All right, so happy Tuesday. This is our first evening show of the week. Thank you guys again for making the time to spend here with us at Cayman Mall Road. There's one point of clarification that I want to make, and then I'm going to start saying good evening to all of our wonderful folks that are tuned into the program. This morning, we had a protest, as you guys know, at Fidelity. First of all, I would like to thank DJ Vaughn for coming to the protest to really just capture the moment, so to speak. He was there doing some videography, and he actually took some really nice photos as well of the protesters. So we certainly appreciate his efforts in this regard. No matter how small the protest was, I think a lot of people were there in spirit. At one point, we had over 500 persons on the live stream. Of course, we would have liked to have had more persons physically there, but we know that some were prevented from coming because of where they work, and others were unable to make it because of work obligations. But as one person pointed out this morning, if it was something else, people would have found a way to be there. So it is what it is, but we will stick with the positivity of the moment. But there was something that was brought up by one of our viewers. Here's one of the photos. Thank you so much to DJ Vaughn again for providing this photo to us. Someone mentioned that Brett Hill, who is the CEO of Fidelity, and obviously Fidelity owns the building that we were standing in front of, which was the Fidelity Financial Center. Someone mentioned that he actually has some sort of ownership in what's it called, in Stones, and we can confirm that that is not true. So I'm not sure those of you who shared that information, because I think it was more than one person actually. Whoever shared that information, I'm not quite sure where you got it from, but we are happy to say that that is not the case. The management and owners of Stepping Stone have reached out, and they have clarified that in fact they have no affiliation with Stepping Stones, and Fidelity has no ownership. Brett Hill has no ownership. And so we wanted to make that very, very clear. And in fact, they shared a statement here with us. Let me just see if I can pull this statement up, because again, we don't want to misrepresent any information. So just give me one quick second here, and I will share this info with you. Basically, they have said that this is the owner of Stepping Stone Recruitment. Inaccurate facts and statements that were made earlier today on the live stream. Brent Hill or Fidelity have no ownership or involvement in Stepping Stones. So they were asking for a retraction of a statement, but we didn't actually make that statement. So that is Amanda Brosh Serpil, who has clarified their position. So we just wanted to share that. So for those of you who may have been misinformed as to the ownership, make sure that you know that that's not the case. So it looks like we have, wow. Johan is making some predictions about the voting. So let's get to that here in a second. Let me just see if I can, we're kind of monitoring this sinkhole situation. So bear with me while I try to get, the strangest thing happens sometimes with the RCAPS. I will just send them a quick message because I noticed something very odd with their notifications. Okay. All right. Very well. Okay. Okay. Okay, so just give me one quick second. All right. Lawyers, I tell you, the more I get to know lawyers, how they operate, particularly in this jurisdiction, the more I dislike them with a vengeance. Um, all right, folks. What a bunch, I tell you. I can really see why lawyers are despised the world over, and Cayman is certainly no exception. Okay, my apologies. Let's get back on track here. Good evening, Marlon, Dunbar, Maureen, Kristen, Olivia, Melita, Evelyn. Hey, Vanessa. So listen, the feedback on the protest this morning, I think, was incredibly positive. We have received a number of persons messaging us about it. Of course, you guys know that we now have a partnership with BEITV, which is Bay Islands TV in La Ceiba, and they certainly carried the protest on their TV as well. Basically, they reached out to us over the weekend, and they want to make sure that people are aware of what's happening here in the Cayman Islands, and why not? We live in a relatively small world when you think about it. So we have, as of this time, I think over 10 or 11,000 views on the video already. So I dare say that it is trending incredibly well. And really, even after that, this afternoon, I had additional persons messaging saying that they were still waiting on Fidelity to get back to them. They were making attempts to contact them all day with absolutely no success. Yeah. These people just don't care. Someone said to me, did Fidelity by any chance reach out? Did they come downstairs? Did they, say anything to you guys as protesters? And I said, not a word. And it is more than painstakingly obvious that they simply do not give a damn. And so when you need to move your pension fund from that organization, or you need to close your bank accounts or move your mortgages somewhere else, you shouldn't give a damn either. Simple. So thank you again for those of you who supported, and definitely for those who made the time to come out. It was not a very long protest. It was just about trying to send a very, very clear message to this institution that whilst you do not care about your customers are in need, and they would be most appreciative if you simply follow the law. It seems like a no-brainer, but we've got actually over 13,000 views on that video already. So folks, continue to make that go viral. And I think that you need to send a very clear message, in my opinion, to Fidelity about what you think of them. And there's one way to do that, and that's to move your business. Like, they're not going to care about much else that you do, but they will certainly care if you move your business somewhere else. So again, disappointed in them is not even the word. They have just completely ignored the law. And meanwhile, we wait for the law to hopefully do something about them. Moving on, the big discussion in the community is the domestic partnership bill. It is now before the Legislative Assembly, and the debates have begun in earnest. And so I personally have only caught small portions of the debate, but I am just flabbergasted by some of the things that I have heard. Most notably, um, I don't even know how to explain the level of ignorance from our representatives. They claim that if this bill is passed, the gay community is going to be kidnapping your children. They're going to be pushing their gay agenda. It's going to be, apparently, the gay community will single-handedly destroy family life as we know it in the Cayman Islands. I am disappointed, in particular, in some of the younger MLAs. The older ones, I'm not surprised by anything they say. Like, they're like this doctor that we're going to talk about here in a second, who's talking about alien DNA and all this crazy ass shit. Certain people do not surprise me when they say certain things. When Donald Trump says that he believes in alien DNA, or someone who makes a statement about alien DNA and he supports her when she's talking about, oh, she's got a cure for COVID. That doesn't surprise me. Huh? Let me just be very frank and honest tonight. That's the kind of foolishness that doesn't surprise me one bit with Donald Trump and his supporters. She's a Trump supporter. And the crap that she's talking, whether it's alien DNA or whatever else she's been known to talk about, we're going to get into some of those details here in a minute. That's not shocking. So certain members of the LA, when they say certain things, so-called Christians, their position doesn't surprise me. Not a bit. These are the same men who last night were at Cotton Club buying front, buying puss, okay, for $500 from a young lady. We've got her photo, we've got her name, from San Andreas. And you want to get into LA the next day, aka today, and talk some bullshit about Christian values and how the gay community is going to destroy your Christian values. Help me understand what Christian values you subscribe to. Please, minister. Let's break it down. You're crying during COVID-19 press briefings. Woe is you. We're supposed to feel sorry for you. Wah, wah, wah. And then you get up in the Legislative Assembly and you speak like an ignorant baboon. An embarrassment to this country. You guys sit down and quote the Bible. Oh, verse so-and-so says, thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not do this. Thou shalt not fornicate. Blah, blah, blah. It has all these passages about gay people and a man and a woman, which, by the way, you really need to study the Bible. Don't believe everything people tell you about the Bible, because you might be shocked as to what the Bible actually says. Do some historical research in the Bible, and you might be in a position to correct your position. Having said that, they just go on like proper idiots. So it is the gay community who's going to destroy this country. No, sir. It is you. The likes of every one of you who are wife beaters. Oh, Jesus Christ. Who isn't in the LA? Well, there are a few who are not. But the list of the wife beaters and the anti-gay community seems to have a real close correlation. Most of them fall into that category. Most of them turn a blind eye when they hear about children in this community being sexually molested and abused. They're the same men who will go out there themselves and have inappropriate relationships with people underage, or sometimes barely legal. And so when you get up on your platform in the Legislative Assembly and talk about how we're going to have marriages of convenience, excuse me, what country are you living in? If you all don't know about the marriages of convenience that exist in the heterosexual community, how many people from, I don't want to pick in any countries, but we know, Jamaica, Honduras, come here looking for a marriage of convenience, and there are Caymanians who are more than willing to engage in that contract of convenience for a few dollars. You're talking about for $10,000? Our people have no value. We're not charging nobody $10,000. That must be some super duper marriage of convenience. We are so cheap that people can basically get it for little or nothing. The ignorance in this country just shocks and surprises me. It hurts me to my core to know that this is what we elect as representatives of this country. So I listened to a few of the debates. I didn't listen to Joke today. Oh, I'm sorry, John. By the way, happy birthday, John. Today is actually his birthday. But I'm not impressed with you guys, not by any stretch of the imagination. And there's some of you that I supported in the last election. And I can tell you this time around, based on your stance on things like this issue, you will not be getting my support come 2021, which is right around the corner. Go out there and hustle your asses off. Go out there and get the people who believe that the gay community is going to destroy this island and introduce marriages of convenience, introduce, breakdown of the families, you go and talk to them about supporting you and giving you that vote that you desire. Because you're an idiot. To get up on a platform and make those types of assertions say to me that you have very little common sense. And this is all about hate. You're a hateful bunch of people. This country, as with all countries around the world, have family issues, and those issues have nothing to do with the gay community. Those issues are caused by some of you same members of the Legislative Assembly. You've got a million children all over Kingdom Come, right? You've got a wife at home with 3-4 children, and you can still find time last night to go out to Cotton Club and pay some 2-bit whore $500 to tickle your fancy. But then you want to put on a suit today, get in the Legislative Assembly and quote the Bible and think that you're impressing anyone. You don't impress me, minister. I'm not impressed. I'm disgusted. Everybody's an adult. If you want to be an adulterer, good on you. That's your business, yes? However, what I'm offended by is the pretense. What I'm offended by is that you can actually fool people who are Christians, who are church members. Every time you jump up and read the Bible, oh God, we need him in the LA. Yes, thank the Lord. Hallelujah. Really? Really? If you guys really knew the truth, and I know a lot of you do know the truth, and you're still turning a blind eye to the ridiculousness of what happens in this country, God needs to start striking some people the fuck down. I'm sorry. Excuse my language tonight, folks. If you're underage, cut the stream off because I'm not in the mood for any bullshit. I talk to people in the gay community, and I hear them when they say, what? These people are getting up in the LA talking about we're going to destroy the heterosexual community. Where do people get this shit from? I mean, seriously, what is wrong with you people? Take a look around. Heterosexuals feel bullied by who? Who is getting up in the Legislative Assembly and calling heterosexuals gay pro? No, that was a statement made by Minister Dwayne Seymour against the homosexual community. That is a form of bullying. How is the gay community bullying anyone? They just want to be left alone. They want you to take your ignorant asses and go sit in the corner and just leave them the hell alone. Live your life. Do your fornicating. Engage in your marriages of convenience, right? Break down your own families. Do all of that stuff and leave the gay community alone. They're just looking for equality, the right to live their lives and be able to make certain decisions, whether it's adding someone onto their insurance policy, right? Leaving that person as a beneficiary on their pension plan. It's things like that. And you guys think that this ridiculous rhetoric, because it appeals to a certain population of your voters, if you knew how many of your voters were actually disgusted by the things that you are actually saying in the Legislative Assembly right now, you'd be beyond ashamed of yourself. And I hope that those people galvanize and they vote your asses out. That's what needs to happen in May of 2021. I'm disappointed in the representation of this country. And you know what? Johan has a prediction here. He thinks that the people who will vote in favor of it, Alden, Moses, Ezra, Roy, David, Joey, Tara, Austin. That's 8. He thinks the no's will be Arden, Alva, Dwayne, Tony, Chris, Kenneth Bryan, Bernie, Eugene, and Juju. That would be Juliana O'Connor Conley. And let me just say right now, there's some of you who are beyond towing the line into the realm of bisexuality and homosexuality yourselves. What is wrong with you? Why can't you own who you are? If you're a bisexual, if you're a lesbian part-time, or whatever the case may be, right? If you're a homosexual, but you've been married for 40 years, isn't it about time that you just admitted it? Isn't it about time that you stopped hiding in the fucking closet? You don't think that we know your business? Let me give you guys a story. I ain't gonna call no names, but you guys can think about it and you can figure it out. There's a certain member of the Legislative Assembly who has been there forever. One day they have this conversation and they say to me, oh, this other member who's fairly new, oh, he's bisexual, you know? I said, oh, really? Okay. Yes. One time I was in Miami and I saw him walking with a man. And ever since I saw that happen, he doesn't like me anymore. And that's why we have this conflict. That's very interesting, sir. I said, okay. Interesting. You know, you hear these stories. When these politicians tell you these stories, sometimes you just listen. I said, all right. A couple years later, I'm in another conversation with someone else who, the first politician who's calling the second politician bisexual, this person says to me, you know, I got a story to share. Now, mind you, they were like this with the first politician, tight, like Batty and I don't know what, but tight, right? Then they say, one time I went to his house and so, and the wife was sitting there. And this politician, after having a few drinks, he was already drinking by the time I got there with these other people. And you know, when you walk into a room and you kind of feel like you just interrupted something, you have that feeling like, I just walked into something. But you're like, okay, how's everybody doing? Whatever. This certain politician says to this supporter, have you ever thought about, you know, a little something with me and you? Excuse me? What do you mean by that? A little something like what? You know, you're a nice, young, handsome young man. And I'm like, what? Not the first time we've heard these types of stories. They have to jump on a plane to Miami to go and hide their dirtiness. They can't be who they are. Maybe what they need is for this bill to be passed so they can then leave the wives that they've been lying to for all these years and they have been abusing and God knows what else, and just go out there and be whoever you want to be. You're bisexual? Good for you. Own it. Stop hiding behind the Bible. Stop hiding behind the church doors every time they open. Because you're not fooling us. You might fool some of the people some of the time, but me, Sandy Hill, I know the stories. And I know the stories that are true, the stories that you hear from more than one source. You hear how certain people travel to certain countries and all of a sudden they can drop not $500 on posts like last night. Apparently the price goes up when it's a same-sex relationship. And then we're talking about thousands of dollars for fellatio and all sorts of other things. Right? Be careful. Be careful. Your duplicitous lives will catch up on you. It's only a matter of time before these people start to say, you know what? You always downtrodden the gay community. And in fact, there's a young man in West Bay right now. When he's had a few drinks, he starts to talk the truth. And he talks about which politicians he has been with and whose penises he has enjoyed in his mouth. Huh? And when his phone goes missing, it's because there's a lot of video evidence on that phone. So bite your tongues and be careful, because someone is going to get up one day and really call you out on your bullshit stories. I am sick and tired of it, personally. Every adult should have permission to live their lives as long as they're not hurting anybody else. And you guys know where my beef lies. You hurt children, I'm going to have a problem with you. You hurt old people, I'm going to box you in your fucking mouth. If you hurt animals, I'm likely to deal with you as well. Right? You hurt other people, the law will sort you out. But if you're a consenting adult who wants to enter into any kind of relationship with another consenting adult, that is your business. You know, I have to wonder, you know, boy, where's my medication here tonight? Karen, you got my tablets? Because I never took any. Let me just say this to be abundantly clear. There are so many of you men that do not give a damn what kind of hole you are engaged in where you put your penis. Okay? So, is it a sin because it is two men, two women, but yet you can engage in sodomy with your wife or the girl that you're going to pay $500 to at Cotton Club last night? How is that any different? Isn't it the same hole? I mean, let's just be honest here. Like, what am I missing? What is it about homosexuals that you guys are so fascinated by? Why do we have to go that deep in terms of what they're doing behind closed doors? It's frankly none of your business. I'm not coming in your bedroom with my checkboard. Oh, okay. What position do you enjoy the most, sir? Oh, no. The church is not going to allow doggy style. We're not going to allow that leg to be lifted that high. Nope, you can't put it in that hole. You can't do this. It's not my business. I don't care. And just like I don't care once that person is a consenting adult and they're well aware of whatever it is you two are into, if you want to tie each other up, if you're into whips and chains, whatever, I do not care. And I don't want you as ministers of this country, MLAs of this country, to care about what other people are doing in the confines of their bedroom. Legally, you have no rights. And the irony of this is the judiciary knew that Cayman is incapable of dealing with this issue on its own. And this is how it's going to go down, right? The Chief Justice, when he made that decision, he knew the only way the Cayman Islands is ever going to adjust this is if they are told to do it. The Court of Appeals said you need to sort this out. Do we need to go back? I can certainly look up the Court of Appeal decision. Do we actually need to go back to the Court of Appeal decision on this? Honestly, because the Court of Appeal didn't mince their words. Let me see here. Let me see if I can just find it really quickly. Let me see if I can find it. All right. So the case is going to the Privy Council, November 7th, 2019. So government won its appeal despite being in violation of human rights. This is what the court said. So really, just like the issue of the port, they won it almost on a technicality of sorts. Okay? The judges said, the Court of Appeal says the current situation as it is an unsatisfactory state of affairs, that is making the respondents suffer in many ways. The court acknowledged that. They went on to say, let me find the relevant paragraph. In conclusion, it added that they were driven to make this final observation. The court is an arm of the government, and any constitutional settlement requires the executive and the legislature to obey the law and to respect the decisions of the court. And it would be wholly unacceptable, because they made a declaration. So in their declaration, they said, they found that Chantel Day and Vicky Baden-Bush are entitled expeditiously, this is a quote, to legal protection in the Cayman Islands, which is functionally equivalent to marriage. That is what this bill is all about. It doesn't specify same-sex relationships, but it creates the legal vehicle for that to happen. This is very unusual for a court to make such a strong declaration in a judgment. So they found in favor of the government, but they still said, you have got a problem that you need to fix. They said they understood how and why the Chief Justice made the decision that he did, because he knows The representatives in this country, by and large, are not able to do the right thing for human rights or for the people of this country when it comes to this decision. So, this strong declaration was made. It said that there's a long-standing and continuing failure of the Legislative Assembly of the Cayman Islands to comply with its legal obligations under Section 9 of the Bill of Rights. Folks, read your Bill of Rights, read your Constitution. The courts have said you need to fix this. Now, expeditiously, here we are going into pretty much almost a year. It hasn't been fixed as yet. Fair enough, we've been in the middle of COVID, so no one's gonna cry foul in terms of that. But if you don't fix it, I want you guys to tell me what you think the alternative is gonna be. At some point, the UK is gonna say, you know what? You guys are not capable, as the court has already ruled. You continue to fail, and you are simply not capable of handling this situation. So we will fix it for you. They have an obligation to ensure that we are adhering to the European Convention on Human Rights and that our Bill of Rights align with those. And in cases where it does not, such as this issue, something has got to be done. Wholly unacceptable for this declaration to be ignored. And there can be no further justification. There can be no further justification for further delay. This is what, folks, the Court of Appeal said. So if you think, as members of the Legislative Assembly, that you're going to somehow support a very limited viewpoint in this country of the vocal minority, because I do believe that they are the vocal minority, and nothing will be done about it, and there'll be no consequences, not only are you lying to yourselves, you are also lying to the people of the Cayman Islands. I listened to some of Joey Hughes' commentary last night, and I found it interesting, to say the least. I heard Joey Hughes talking about, well, you know, what can you do when people make a choice? And I thought to myself, are we so incredibly naive and stupid that we honestly believe that anyone would choose to be gay and be subjected to the type of ignorance in this community that they are subjected to on a regular basis? Who would make this choice? For what reason? If being gay or being a homosexual is really a choice, what? Listen, some of the gay people I know are some of the smartest people in the world. Why would they subject themselves to being hated by people for no other reason? Oh, this is a lifestyle choice. Is it really? It defies logic. There are people who struggle with their identities. There are people who take their own lives because of this. They don't want to disappoint their family members. They don't want to disappoint their parents. And yet people can get up in the Legislative Assembly and still talk this hockamamie bullshit about, oh, this is a choice. And if you choose to do it, then, you know, although, yeah, we're going to support human rights, it's still a choice. We have a lot of educating to do. But at the end of the day, this is a legal issue. Members of the LA, vote it down because you need the UK to step in. And then I want to see what your solution will be then. Will you tell the country, oh well, let's go independent? Because the baboons that are running this country are clearly competent to take us through the road of independence. And I want to know how many of you who are anti-gay, anti the domestic partnership bill, anti-change in the marriage law would be willing to put the future of your lives on the line and say, you know what? We will have no part of this and we're willing to go independent. Do it. I dare you to do it. This is going to be the biggest sinking ship in the world. And the people who are steering it are just stupid. There's no other way to describe them. They can barely string two sentences together. But when they whip out a Bible and start quoting from the Bible, all of a sudden they are geniuses. All of a sudden, you have so much faith in them. They are a man of God. Are you sure? Would a man of God be out last night paying a woman $500 to get in her panties? I'm just wondering. Well, how do you define a man or woman of God? What are the criteria? These men and women of God know the child molesters in their districts and their communities, and they have nothing to say about it. They have never once spoke out against child abuse or child molestation. I don't know how much you guys remember, but a couple terms ago, I can't say with certainty that it was the last election, but Minister Dwayne Seymour, and I'm not picking on him. I mean, yes, I don't think he's smart. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. He's not the sharpest in the drawer. But there's others who fall into that category in the LA as well. Maybe they serve some kind of purpose. I don't know. Warming the seat. I have no idea. But a couple elections ago, I don't think it was the last one, there was a question asked about the age of consent and whether or not it should be raised. Do me a favor, folks. Go back into the archives. This was a chamber debate, and listen to how the minister responded to that question. He actually said the age of consent is high enough at 16. And maybe it should be lowered. Now, two things here. Either the man don't know what the hell the age of consent means, or he actually thinks that a 15-year-old could consent to a sexual relationship. I don't know. You pick and choose which one you want to believe, but I'm telling you what the man said, and I'm telling you can go back and pull those video archives. I'm sure somebody must have them. And so when they want to stand up and talk about their experts on any topic, especially that of morality, I really have to think twice about that. And you're not. Cayman is such a funny place. People sometimes know more about your business than you do. And they don't always get it right. I'm the first to tell you. We love to chat and we love to gossip. But a lot of times Caymanians know a lot more than you're willing to give them credit for. So even those of you who have wives, who are out there having affairs with the man on the football team or whatever, we know all the stories, we hear about it. The women in the legislative assembly who are part of these political parties, now you got elected as an MLA, and you know what the going joke is in your political party, that you're like the doorknob. Everybody is taking a turn on you. Now, I don't like to talk about women like this because we're all women, we're sexual creatures. And I know that the standards by which men are judged, the man is doing the exact same thing. Everyone's taking a turn on him too. But he can be ridden like a donkey and nobody is going to say much about it. Because as women, we are held to a different standard. Oh, well, you have to be chaste. You can't sleep around. You can't do this, whatever, right? But the point is, don't come to me or anybody else in this country preaching your twisted narrative about the church and the Bible, when in truth, your life has been no example whatsoever. None. When every single leader of your political party can talk about they've had you in a sexual way, maybe you should just keep your mouth shut when it comes to other people's business, especially on the topic of sex. That's all I'm saying. I'm disappointed. Nancy says, I see nothing wrong with a legal partnership, but don't force churches to marry against their will. Who's doing that? That's not in there. And this is where now, folks, you've got to educate yourselves. This is one of the fake news things that people are saying that has no merits whatsoever. There is nothing in the law. A person has to want to register as a domestic partnership, what do you call it? Officer, right? And those are the persons who can then legally sign off on a domestic partnership. If a minister does not believe in this, no one is forcing him to register as that. That's his choice. I mean, in the name of love, please just stop the stupidity. Stop the ignorance. Someone sent me a letter. I've actually been meaning to publish it regarding this topic. I need to go back and find it now because, my God, so many times we get these emails. Let me see if I can find it. So many emails come in every day, right? And I'll share this with you. We will publish it on the website as well because I think people need to read these things and they need to understand how people are made to feel in this community. So this person sent an anonymous letter about the domestic partnership bill. And in this, they said, as a Caymanian woman born here more than 40 years ago, I'm troubled by some of the vitriol people are spewing under the guise of religious Christianity related to the DPB. I have seen people wishing ill or death on people because of their sexual orientation. Calls to threaten work permits be revoked for someone expressing free speech and opinions they disagree with. Stalking and taking photos of members of the LA, spreading debunked homophobic tropes, disingenuously saying a domestic partnership bill opens the door to pedophilia, bestiality, polygamy, and incest, or claiming that failure to block the bill would somehow cause hurricanes. My Jesus. Like, really? Using Bible verses to justify discrimination and judgment of people. I mean, I could take the time to break this down and tell you. Bestiality, pedophilia, polygamy, incest. We've got some very famous cases of incestuous relationships right here in the Cayman Islands. That is why we've had the Cayman disease, which is a unique disease to our country, because so many of our people were sleeping with each other, inbreeding, right? And I can assure you that that had absolutely nothing to do with the gay community. Those fathers who were molesting their children and tying them up to the fence pole in the District of West Bay, because we have heard the not too distant stories. And everyone in the community knew about it. And everybody in the neighborhood was talking about it, including the politicians, and they did nothing. There's a famous case of a family in Georgetown from South Sound. The father is alleged to have molested both of his female children and possibly the son as well. Everybody knew about it. Talk to the old-time politicians. Well, we tried telling the mom that she needed to come forward and press charges. Really? Really? He wasn't gay. He was straight as well. I mean, obviously, if he molested his son, that doesn't make him gay. That just makes him a sick SOB. Means that he'll molest anything. Folks, I'm telling you, it has got to stop. We'll see what the outcome. I don't know when they'll finally vote on this. But you know what? Make the UK do what they got to do. They'll step in and they'll get it sorted out. And if that's what it takes, then all the politicians can say, well, I did my best, you know. The UK has all this power. There's nothing that we could do. Well, you had an opportunity to draft the bill in a manner that would be suitable to the Cayman Islands. I'm pretty sure that if the UK comes down with a heavy gauntlet, they're not going to care how it's drafted. They're going to tell you, this is what it is. And you know what I'm going to say? Good. You all deserved it. Plain and straight. I've wasted my entire show talking about this topic yet again. And it just really, really disturbs me. I want to share something with you guys. Let me just see here. I'm trying to remember who sent this to me. All right. Since we want to believe everything that people are saying about the Bible and what they're quoting, you know, someone shared a very interesting, I'm just trying to see if I can find what they shared about what the Bible actually says about homosexuality. Because I thought to myself, this is very, very interesting. If I don't find it tonight, I will definitely try to put my hands on it. Because this person is an educated PhD person who's done a lot of research. And what they have had to say, you can verify for yourself if you're willing to verify it. Most of us, though, are not willing to verify anything. We just want, oh, well, my mom has said this is what the Bible says. And meanwhile, you don't picked up a Bible in your life. Or you just pick it up on a Sunday to read one or two verses, and that's it. Stop being hypocrites. I'm not here to tell you how to live your life, and I'm not here to judge you. Like I said, there are very few things that I will judge you on. And everybody knows what those things are. Outside of that, you are an adult, and I may have an opinion about your behavior, but it's your life to live. I'm going to share this text for those of you who are interested in what the Bible says about, allegedly about Christianity. Read it, folks. Read for yourselves. Educate yourselves. Don't believe people just because they bring you information. Find out for yourself how this really goes. Will we ever get any better in terms of our level of thinking? Will we ever want to treat people as equals? I mean, these people are our brothers and sisters and cousins, and even sometimes our own children. How can you think that your child, your own child, has made a choice to be gay in a non-gay friendly country and world? And oh, they've got an agenda. They want to push their agenda of turning everybody into pedophile and molesting all of our children. Well, I honestly think a lot of churches have an agenda because they're the ones who are the biggest pedophiles in their midst. And I don't see them speaking out about it. I don't see them saying this is wrong and we have to put a stop to it. The churches are used to hide a lot of these wrongs. Why is it that so many priests are actually child molesters and rapists? What does that say about them? What does that say about why they target the church? Because it's easy to do so. Because so many church ministers or believers, my apologies, are so easy to fool the followers. Yes, your flock, your sheep, your blind sheep. You're willing to believe anything that these predators tell you. Noel says, Sandy, you're hitting the nail on the head. The most upsetting thing for me was the disrespect from some of the LAs towards the LGBT community. Noel, as you guys know, has just started the LGBTQ Foundation. And he is a gay person in this community. He is a Caymanian. And he understands all too well the discrimination and the hate. He has shared his experience of having to go overseas, leave this country, and he's not the only one who's done it. Right? We want to talk about Cayman is for Caymanians, right? So just because someone is who they are, you chase them away, you run them away. That's the rhetoric. Carol says, mad. It made me so mad watching it. Marion says she spilled her Milo, tea too hot. I'm sorry, Marion. I hope you're okay. Karen, her mouth dropped open a couple times. Karen, this show is called The Cold Hard Truth. Kara says to preach. Enough is enough, folks. I've had enough of it. Catherine says most of them forget what they were doing, let's say 30 years or so ago. Hello. Can I tell you that they might forget, and a lot of them still doing it, they just hiding it. But even if they were doing it 30 years ago, people remember. People remember the stories of which man was living with which man, and it was always a very questionable arrangement. That all of a sudden you got your heart broken by another man, and they never left you anything in their estate or whatever. The stories are in circulation, folks. I don't make this shit up. I'm just telling you what I hear. I don't have time to make it up. Buenas noches, Elizabeth. Louis, Julissa wants to know what you missed. Well, I don't know. Renz Johnson says they don't know that a bad man wrote the Bible. Well, I don't know who you're referring to exactly, but we do know who the Bible was put together by, the modern Bible that we have now. And there were books of the Bible that were conveniently left out. There are people translating the Bible who never spoke the original language. So their translation might be a little bit iffy at best. And they were being pushed in a certain direction to interpret certain passages, to control people. Listen, the Bible has been used to justify all sorts of ills throughout history, including slavery. Don't forget, that wasn't that long ago, when Black people were fighting for their rights, their basic human rights. And this same Bible that you same Black folks want to believe in was used to keep you as second-class citizens and to keep you as slaves because the Bible says so. It's a funny thing with the Bible and how you interpret it. Right? Folks, in the morning, we will be discussing this Stella Emanuel. Speaking of crazy people who want to go around quoting the Bible, this video went viral. I lost count of how many times I saw it today. I got sick of seeing it, where she jumps up in front of, I can't remember where they recorded it, in front of, I think it was the Supreme Court or somewhere, talking about hydrochloroquine and how it's going to cure everybody. You don't need to wear masks, she says. You don't need to do anything because they have the cure for COVID-19. And we are living in a desperate world, folks, that people would believe this. And when I tell you this shit went viral, I'm not lying. President Trump has over 82 million followers, and he shared it. His son shared it. And from one source alone, it had over 60 million views before Facebook, Twitter, and I forget who else pulled it down. These people are like, this is as fake as it comes. And when you hear who this woman is, she's not treating anybody with COVID. She's a pediatrician. Who the hell is she going to be treating? She's a liar. And not only that, but she believes in friggin' alien DNA. And what was the other thing she said she believed in? Alien DNA and some crackpot other thing. Anyway, we're going to break it down tomorrow. On the morning show, we will be looking at her case specifically. Demon sperm and alien DNA, yes. This is what, when someone comes to you and this is the foolishness that they believe in, why the hell would you even share this video? Why would you think this woman got any damn sense? I mean, really. Anybody who can talk about alien DNA and demon sperm needs to have their head checked. They shouldn't even have a license to practice anything. She's got a lot of questionable and dubious beliefs. Certain gynecological issues, this is what she believes, and she's a doctor. Certain gynecological issues are caused by sexual encounters with demons in your dreams. Wow. I wonder what gynecological issues those would be. So if a demon comes to your dream, honey, you're going to have, I don't know, endometriosis. Like, I don't know exactly what, she's got a whole website. Apparently, she's another one that's a minister of religion. Tune in at 7:15. We can talk about this crackpot. That's all I can tell you. And why President Trump, another crackpot, was so quick to jump on it. Why people in the Cayman Islands are so quick to jump on these things, because we have a lot of people here who are anti-vaxxers, and they love a good conspiracy theory. They're going to believe anything somebody tells them, and it's just making it worse for all of us. I love all of you, no matter what you look like. I don't care if you're Black, if you're white, if you're Chinese, if you're Filipino, if you're Jamaican, if you're Caymanian, if you're West Bay, if you're from Savannah. I don't care where you're from. If you are a good person, if you live and exist in your truth, if you don't go out there hurting other people, I am all for it. Live your best possible life. Help out in your community where you can. Help your brothers and sisters in this life. We're only here but for a little fickle of a time. And so I will continue to support my LGBTQ, whatever, brothers and sisters in this community and all over the world. And I do not care what you think of me for that position. I don't care if that means you're not going to like me. Thankfully, you're not putting bread in my mouth. So I don't really care. I've heard people say, oh, well, she must be a lesbian too. Good. If you want to believe that, if you want to believe the only way that you could support the LGBT community is that you have to be a lesbian, you have to be bisexual, you have to be gay, whatever. I don't care what you think of me. I know what my status is. And I want to just let those people live their lives without being judged, without being hated, without being castigated. It's not your place to tell somebody if they're going to get into hell or heaven or not. Because you know what? Most of you who are indulging in that rhetoric, you ain't going there yourselves. You headed straight to heaven on the fast cart. Right? So if the truth be known, you better be thinking about yourself and your own soul. God didn't put you in charge of judging anybody else. He's going to do that. If you believe in a God, he will be the judge of others, not you. And it ain't your business. Thank you so much. Rosanna says there are a lot of false teaching. Well, not only they're false teaching, but they're fake doctors who want you to believe all kind of ridiculousness. Maureen said, I didn't believe her. Well, good for you for being able to spot a fake prophet, a fake doctor, and just a straight up idiot. Morna says, good evening, my friend Sandy. At the end of the day, God will judge us all. Live and let others live their lives. That's right. He didn't put me in charge of nobody else. Jalissa says, there are plenty who honestly don't care, but are scared of what Papa and Grandma say. That's the problem, not being strong enough to have your own opinion. Huh. It's their lives, and Papa and Grandpa can't live your life, honey. So you better get with it. And Jalissa, I totally agree. It's all about towing this line of what other people want you to say. It can't be that some of these MLA members really believe this stuff because, like I said, they're living on the down low themselves. They're engaged in homosexual behavior. So is it a self-hate situation? Like, what's the deal? And some of the most vocal people on this subject, those are the ones you got to keep an eye on, both eyes, because they're normally living the duplicitous, the double lifestyle. I'm telling you straight up. Karen says they're going to all meet up in hell. Well, who knows? That will be for God to determine. And that note, I hope all of you will join me again in the morning, 7:15. Let's keep the ride going here, folks. We got a lot to discuss that we didn't get to. The situation with SICA, the Cayman Islands, CIAA, the Cayman Islands Athletic Association, just got that much more interesting. We got a letter today laying out the position of the local organizing committee. So we will talk some more about that in the morning. We will talk about Dr. Stella and her video. So Irvin, Karen, Larry, sorry you missed the protest. Oh, your sister-in-law participated. Wonderful. Would she have been, is it Barbara? Because I remember her husband is from what's his name now? But he's from New York. So maybe they're living in Paris now, I think is what she's saying. Yeah, imagine people who are not even living in the Cayman Islands, who don't have no business with Fidelity, including myself. We were out there protesting on behalf of all of you. So folks, come on now, step up your game. Hello, Miss Janet. Thank you so much. You have a wonderful night as well. Folks, that's it for me. Let us continue the conversation in the morning. Please get some rest. I'll make sure to take my medication tonight, because that little tablet can kind of make me zen and less likely to really put it on the line. So we're going to deal with that in the morning as well. All right, good folks, beautiful folks, good night. And I will certainly see all of you, God's willing, tomorrow morning.
Thank you for tuning in to another edition of The Cold Hard Truth. Make sure to check Facebook for showtimes and more information and the latest news at CaymanMarlRoad.com. Subscribe to our IG and Facebook pages to get the latest happenings.